face, and the taste is so sweet. I love you, I hate you, you're all that I want. I love you, I hate you, you're all that I want. I love you, I hate you, you're all that I want. I love you, I hate you, you're all that I want.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Advanced Warfare video. The gameplay we'll be watching today is me using the HBRA-3 Insanity on the map Green Band in a game of Team Deathmatch. It's a very good game. I end up going 28-4, and the subject of today's video is going to be how to improve your KDR for beginners. This is not going to be a real in-depth, how to become an MLG All-Star or anything like that. This is just, if you have no thumbs, how do you start developing thumbs? If you're turning on the game for the first time, how do you go from being 0-20 to 10-20? Those kind of tips that will seem fairly obvious to a veteran player who's been playing for quite a while, but could really help out the newer guys who are, again, just turning on the game for the first time. So the first thing I have for you is stick with it. Keep playing. The more you play, the better you'll get. You'll always get better by doing something. Doing something, no matter how bad you are at it, will never make you worse at it. It will only make you better. And Call of Duty is just like any other competitive thing, whether it's chess or it's basketball or it's football or it's thumb wrestling. Doing it more makes you better. The more you play, the better your aim will be, the better your reactions will be, the better your strategies will be. And so just keep practicing, stick with it, don't get discouraged. I'll tell you, I started with Ghosts. That was my first one, and that was the one previous to Advanced Warfare, for anybody who doesn't know. And I was terrible at Ghosts. I spent probably the first 3 or 4 months with a KDR around 0.3, and by the time I started finally climbing up towards, started to see my KDR raise, like I was sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I got half as many kills as deaths, what a great game, and slowly but surely it started coming together for me, and I started getting better, and I started noticing my aim was better, I started noticing my reaction time was better. And before the end of Ghosts, before Advanced Warfare came out, I had gone from somebody who was terrible at the game, had no clue what he was doing, had terrible reaction time, could only kill somebody who was running away from him, and even then, half the time I got turned on, into somebody who got a 30-1 free-for-all match, got a 38-2 team deathmatch, and by the end of Ghosts, I had a 1.14 KDR, which is really good considering I spent the first several months digging myself into a huge hole. So I'm pretty proud of where I'm at now. I think that I've advanced very far, and I know that you can too. So just stick with it, don't get discouraged, and keep practicing, because practice really does make you better at literally anything you're trying to do. So the second piece of advice I have for you is pick a weapon that is very forgiving. Don't jump straight in and use a sniper rifle immediately, because sniper rifle, whether you like snipers or you hate snipers, takes a level of precision to use. And what you want to do is you want to find the best version, or the best combination of both fire rate and accuracy. Accuracy is really important for a new player because you're not going to be able to really handle recoil right away. That's something that comes with time. A lot of the pro players or the YouTubers like the more powerful guns that kill in fewer shots, but the trade-off to that is those guns bounce around a lot, and if you don't have the gun skill, as they call it in the game, to handle the recoil, you're not going to be killing things. So what you want to do is you want to find the best fire rate, because the best fire rate will allow you to miss more shots and still not lower your time to kill too much. And you want to find something with a good accuracy, because that means that your shots will stay on target and you won't have to work as hard to hit all the shots. And so the two suggestions I have for you are the AK-12 and the ASM-1. The ASM-1 has a great fire rate, and its little hidden statistic is that it becomes more accurate the more shots you fire. So as you're holding down the trigger, it will become more accurate. And the AK-12 is just one of the lowest recoils in the game, and it's a full auto. It is a very good beginner weapon. So I would definitely suggest that as the two weapons of choice. Both of them are unlocked as soon as you turn on the game, so you don't have to even work to level up to get them. Now the next thing is work on your fundamentals, and the number one thing in Call of Duty is accuracy. If you are not an accurate player, you're not going to be killing anything. It doesn't matter how good your strategy is, it doesn't matter how powerful your gun is, it doesn't matter how quickly you react to enemies. If you miss them, it doesn't matter. Accuracy is the most important thing to getting good at Call of Duty, and there's a couple things you can do to enhance your accuracy. Number one, of course, is lower your recoil as much as you can. We've already talked about that. And number two is sensitivity. And if you go into the options menu, there is an option for sensitivity. What sensitivity does is it speeds up or slows down the movement on the screen, basically. So, if you have a really high sensitivity, every little tiny movement that you make with your aiming thumbstick is going to make your character move really, really fast. And veteran players like this because it allows them to turn around really fast and increase their reaction time, and if they get shot from behind, they can spin around and kill people. But for new players, a lower sensitivity is better. A high sensitivity means that you're not going to be able to make those minor adjustments that you need to hit your target. A lower sensitivity may make you slower when you're trying to turn or you're trying to spin around or do some superhero move, but a lower sensitivity will also make it much easier to aim. So go into the options menu and play around with your sensitivity a little bit, find out what works for you, because that will really improve your game. And it'll improve your game no matter what. It doesn't matter what level you're on when you're playing. If you're on the wrong sensitivity, you're not going to be very good at the game. Now when it comes to your map strategy, one of the things I like to do, and most people will tell you stay to the outside of the map, because everybody typically will rush towards the middle of the map, and that's where all the action is. But if you stay on the outside of the map, then you can just aim down into the middle of the map and take them all out. I'll go ahead and I won't say stay to the middle of the map. What I like to do is I like to stay near walls. If you have one or two of your flanks guarded by a wall, then there's a good chance that, not a good chance, it's impossible for someone to come from you at that angle. If you can limit the direction that people can attack you, then you have a much better chance of defending yourself from the other direction. So if you have a wall to your right, you only have to worry about front, left, and rear. If you're at a corner with a wall to your rear and your right, then you only have to worry about front and left. And the more directions that you can protect yourself from using your environment, the fewer directions people can attack you from, and that will really make it a lot easier for you to win gunfights and stay alive and control where people are attacking you from. And the next piece of advice is master your exosuit movements. Don't ignore your exosuit boost dodge movements. In past Call of Duty games, there was this little special move that super try-hard people would use called jump shotting. And what they would do is if they thought there was somebody around the corner, they would jump around the corner. And if they got into a head-to-head gunfight, they would jump to one side or the other. And what that would do is it would make you a harder target to hit. People are expecting you to be at ground level, and instead you're up above them. And just those few extra milliseconds where their aim is a little off is the difference in a gunfight. Gunfights in this game are over very quickly, and so every time you can make the enemy miss, it gives you an advantage in a gunfight. And so in this game, rather than jump shotting, the new move is dodge shotting. So if you think there's somebody around the corner, boost dodge around the corner. If you get into a head-to-head gunfight and they get the first shot on you, dodge left or dodge right. And what you're going to do is you're going to throw off their aim a little bit. You're expecting that movement because you're the one doing it, and so you're going to be able to react to it. But, you know, people expect when they're waiting for someone to come around a corner, they expect them to come walking around the corner. They don't expect them to go boosting, 3 yards past the corner and thus throwing off their aim and giving you the advantage in the gunfight. Anytime you can give yourself an advantage in a gunfight, do it. Master your exo movements. They save my life so often. So often I win gunfights I shouldn't because I boost dodged left or right and made that person miss and gave me the upper hand. And the final piece of advice I'll give you is stay away from objective modes until you're comfortable with the game. You want to play Slayer modes. Slayer modes include free-for-all, team deathmatch, and kill confirmed. And if I were you, just going off the level of competition you're going to face, typically team deathmatch is where all the new players kind of flock to. So I would start with team deathmatch and eventually progress up to kill confirmed, which is just team deathmatch except you're picking up dog tags after you kill people, and then go to free-for-all. Those seem to be, for me, the game modes I get my best KDRs in. If you're going for a high kill total, you want to go with something like domination or capture the flag or momentum. But if you want to go for a high kill to death ratio, you want to go to things that are a little bit slower paced, a little more methodical, and team deathmatch, the difference between, let's say momentum and team deathmatch is, in momentum, everybody in the map flocks to one central location, and you all run in there, and you're all shooting at each other, and there's bullets flying everywhere, and there's grenades going off, and everything else, and you can get 100 or more kills in those games if you're, one of the higher tier players. But while it's fun to get 100 kills, you're also going to die 20 times, 30 times, and it's hard to stay alive. So if you go to a game mode like Team Deathmatch, where everybody is dispersed around the map, it's almost rare to run into a group of people in Team Deathmatch. It's much more likely that you're going to come around the corner and have a one-on-one fight with somebody, and if you win it, then you go around another corner and have a one-on-one fight with somebody else, and it lends itself to players who aren't quite as comfortable with the game because you're able to respond to one person at a time, and you're able to have a breather, you have time to reload, and it's just a slower paced game. So the slower paced games are better for newer players because you're just not going to be up to speed with the faster paced games like Domination and Momentum just yet. So that, game mode selection is pretty important if you're trying to learn this game and you want to learn it at a reasonable pace. Thanks for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and commentary. I hope that these tips were helpful to you, and until my next video, good luck getting better and slaying all of your friends and enemies in Call of Duty.